everyone. This is ACDC, Araceli and Colette, the Dynamic Change. My name is Araceli and I'm a Transition Wealth Advisor. And I love helping professional women to rearrange their finances so they can get the debt paid if they do have debt, or retire quicker if that's what they want. So I'm also a real estate investor, and I'm here with my partner, Colette. Colette, can you introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. My name is Colette Rabba. I'm a residential real estate broker in Ontario in GTA West. I love helping home buyers and investors when they want to. I'm laughing because you can hear the background noise. I'll tell you in a second what that is. I love helping my first-time buyers, even second, third-time buyers and investors see the potential in homes before they even make an offer. So. And I don't just walk the walk. I don't just talk the talk. I walk the talk, and that's what that noise is. I have a basement apartment in my own house. It's a rental property, or part of my property is rented out to get a little bit more income coming in, and also helping really in the GTA. There isn't enough places for people to live, so. I have a big house. I want to help people find a reasonable place to rent, and it's comfortable and it's beautiful. And they're working on the door right now. So
that's awesome.
I speak it a little bit. So that's what, if you hear any background noise, I apologize. That's what it is. Finding a contractor that will come out and actually do the work. I take it when they can show up.
So, absolutely. Yeah. And then that's the easiest way to get started in real estate if you want to kind of,
do it yourself.
Do it yourself. It's the easiest way because then it'll give you the opportunity to see if you could be a landlord, if you want to be a landlord to begin with, and how the income is going to help you. So all of that. But today I've actually had a question for many of my clients. The ones that are just starting to save for a down payment. It says, I want to buy a house. I have, this amount of income. And what is happening is the rate of saving is not fast enough because now the properties are so large in price that they have like 500, 600, 700, depending on what they need, right? And if you have to start from zero, to save, let's say 20% or 10%, so your mortgage payment is not as large, it takes a longer time than it used to be with the prices of the house. And the thing, it keeps coming up. What do you know about tiny homes? So today we're going to be talking about what is happening with that, and the demand is growing. Absolutely. So yeah. Colette, can you tell us more about that?
Sure. Sorry, I'm trying to play the mute button so you guys don't have to hear all the banging when Araceli is talking. Yeah. So I'm trying to really adjust the sound. I hope you guys can hear me okay. Yeah, there's a little bit of background noise. So I actually have a presentation that I put together really quickly because it is something that I get the question to all the time. And it's a little tricky. It's not that easy to get a tiny home put together, but it's really about a lifestyle as well. It's not just about, I want to buy, this little thing. So, let's, I'm going to share my screen and hopefully you guys can see what's going on. Oh my goodness. Let's see. No, that's not right. Just give me a second. I don't know why it's not opening. Okay, let's do share screen now. Share screen. Okay, there she is. So I'm just going to max out my screen. Can you guys see all that?
Yeah.
Okay, so welcome to the tiny home revolution. It's really fascinating. You can find a lot of information out there. You can find a lot of Pinterest, little videos, and how people live. This is not an RV. So generally speaking, if you don't even know what a tiny home is, I put a little definition. So it's a tiny home is a little different than a small dwelling because it's not really a mobile home. And you can see by the pictures too. I'm going to reference the pictures a lot because they are quite different and they vary. So it's a kind of a loosey-goosey definition, but basically it's less than 800 square feet, usually even closer to 500 or 400 or even lower than that. It's a single house. So it's a unit that includes a kitchen, bath, sleeping area. It's usually detached. It's usually mobile on wheels, or it's on a temporary pad or a foundation. It's very customizable. It's very tailored to individual tastes and budgets. You can even build one yourself if you're handy. There's lots of, like, you can buy templates. You can buy, the movable parts and then build it according to the plans that you can buy online. And you can design and build it on the principles of affordability and environmentally sustainable. So even in this picture, you can see there's some solar panels. So that the movement, it has to do with environmentally friendly, and that's sort of the theme throughout all of it. So let's continue. So the pros of having something like this, a tiny home, and I hope you like my little pictures. I took them all off the internet, so I don't know anybody who actually owns any of these. But I think this is fascinating. I really love this movement. And it's something that gives you the freedom as a home buyer to say, okay, listen, I can live independently. I don't have to have a mortgage. I can buy it outright, or you can, rent to own sort of thing. Like if you buy it already made, there's a payment plan sometimes. It can be environmentally friendly. There's cheaper costs because of the size of the place to heat and, the hydro, and you can have a propane tank and all that stuff. You can be totally off the grid, just like the picture before with the solar panel.
Whoa.
Yeah, sorry. I'm telling you, it's loud. And there's privacy, and it's very unconventional. So you don't have to see, this is the thing.
Whoa. Okay. So, okay, Colette, I have a comment while your thing is going on. So this is actually something that people are looking for because they want to, especially if they're going to retire. They're
just keep talking.
Sorry about that. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to get my point across here. When people are trying to retire, they really don't, if they still have a mortgage, they want to get rid of the mortgage and all of the things that go around with it, like large expenses monthly. So this is a very good way to do, especially if you don't want to do a lot of cleaning and so on, right? Are you okay to talk now? Not yet? Okay. So it looks like the destruction is going fast, right?
Yeah, sorry about that.
So I even seen and some pictures that have, like, you can actually convert a school bus into a home. And It's actually very, like, if you're handy, I would love to do that in the future because it's, I like doing renovations. I like doing construction. Right. So all of that kind of thing.
So when I say not to building code, as long as it's on wheels, you don't have to, because it's not in a jurisdiction. There's no bylaws if it's movable. So that's the difference. So when you talk about mobile homes, there is a whole different set of rules out there. So we're not going to talk about that. We're not going to get into that. But the interesting thing, what I like about this, and I'll show you in a different picture, is the way these places are heated. And it's really, really great. So I'm going to show you a better picture. I don't know if you can see this one, but it's behind the light in the ceiling.
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah. Is that the heater, right?
Yes. And air conditioner. So let me continue. It's called a ductless system. So this is something that obviously you can see the picture. There is wheels, and the picture is from the company that's actually selling this unit. So the cons, why everyone isn't doing something like this, is because it's hard to find the land. So if you really want to buy it to live in it and settle in, hard to find the land. It's hard to be 4 seasons because it is like an RV. RVs are not meant to withstand or to be lived in during the winter, but that's also possible. You just have to do a little more research on you making sure your pipes don't freeze. It's hard to hook up amenities like Wi-Fi. If you're, like, let's say you find somewhere out in the wilderness, how are you going to do your plumbing? How are you going to get water to the unit? It's more expensive per square foot to build if you buy it from a place like this, and if that really is a concern of yours. But because the square footage is so small, they're still very reasonable to buy outright. And it can be too remote. If you do find a property that you can park it on, if you want to live in the city, this is not for you. This is very difficult to find the land that you'd be able to park it full time, like, over the course of a few years. So if you do find land, it would probably be somewhere remote, and it can be too small for long term. If you're starting a family, if you want to have kids, oh, sorry, like that could be difficult. I hope they're almost done.
Oh, wow, that is a pretty loud. But yeah, so this is an option, especially if you're a single and you're just starting. This could be a very good option for you.
I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
On our part.
This is also another thing that obviously every province has its own regulations and where you can actually settle this house, and because there's the amenities that you need on an ongoing basis, how to hook them up. So, okay, so finding land.
If you want to go ahead and read this one, go ahead and read it.
Okay. So, build yourself and rent out the secondary dwelling. So in some places, if you have enough land already in your house, you might be able to build the tiny house in the backyard if you have enough space. Or you can also have, and I think that this is something that the government is looking into it, to have a large amount of land that they can convert and have individual amenities provided to you as well. So, and yeah, you're going to have to probably lease it, rent the space. So there's lots of things that you can do. How are you doing for the noise? I like when you are very quiet.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. But yeah, so the last one is to find a remote piece of land. So this is something, if you just, quiet about it and nobody, like, it's not by a street where people are passing by, I don't condone it, but it's something that I'm not the first person to do, sure. So, but if that's something, really get to know the municipality, see what's going on. I love this picture because it's almost like what they did is they took a container, like those metal containers.
Yeah, I've seen those too.
Yeah, and again, solar panels. So I just want to point that out. But this is very mobile. See that the little porch part lifts up. It can be moved or transported quite easily. So there are lots of people that are making their own, and this is a very unique way to live. So I don't know if that would really be right for me, but as a vacation home, I'm all over it. I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go. Sorry,
I think it could be an alternative for people that are just starting to save for a place. Right. And I know that this is going to become very, very popular because of the prices of house here in GTA, right. Very, very expensive. So
yeah, and the other thing, what I was going to say, so in Toronto, they just, I believe a year or 2 years ago, they allowed to have a secondary unit where, like a laneway house, it's called laneway housing now. So I know it's coming in Hamilton. I know, I'm not sure if it's passed yet. I know in places like Kitchener, where, like, Hamilton is an older town, very much like Toronto, where, you have that kind of old feel where you have a laneway and then your garage, and people are converting there. It's expensive. It's not cheap to do that, but to bring water and hydro to a secondary unit on the same piece of land is not difficult if you already have a structure there. So this is the thing, we have to be more creative with housing, because this is really, like, we all need a place to live. Fundamentally, that is one of the main, food, water, shelter, right? So to be creative about it. And I took this picture, I grabbed this picture because I thought it was kind of funny. I don't know why they have this weird second door up high.
Yeah. Maybe you can put the little steps to go up. I don't know.
I don't know. So I thought that was kind of cute, but I thought really just to understand that these are mobile places to live. Like, I don't want to call it a mobile home because it's a little, not that typical plastic frame, RV sort of RV park thing that I think it's going to start again. Anyways,
so what is the price? Do you know how much it'll be, like a starting price for this?
yeah, I've heard, not that I know for sure, and to give you, because we're not advertising any manufacturers, but you'd be looking anywhere from 50,000 to 100,000 to get it all built 100% ready to go. And on a chassis like that, where you have that mobile part to the actual build. So basically, a tiny house on wheels is like an RV. So if you can find an RV park to park it at, these are the questions that you can ask them. They might have certain parameters that they won't let you. Sorry, the noise is starting again. So, but it's a question you can ask. Is
Yeah, absolutely. No, this is good.
Too loud?
So that is one of the alternatives for people that they want to start, having their own place, that it might not be as expensive as the GTA, and that if you are just starting to save, that might be for somebody that is just starting. A couple would be fine. A single person would be fine as well. There is alternatives, but we just wanted to kind of provide you some information, because this question keeps coming up because of the need. I believe there is a financial need for more affordable housing, and we all could use a little bit of a break if it's possible, right?
Like I said, it gives you the freedom to actually own something, and you don't feel like you're paying rent.
Yeah.
But it really is a lifestyle. You really have to do your research before you even think about stuff like this. Visit someone, do more research online, visit someone who actually owns a little tiny home like this.
Yeah.
And just feel it out, because really, I think that even with my home buyers, they really don't understand spatially how it feels to live in a place like that. So even if there's a place that you can vacation or do an Airbnb in one of these, at least you get the feeling of it and say, okay, can I do this long term? Can I do this for a certain amount of time before I invest in my hard-earned money?
Yeah, but you can take a look at some of the condos downtown Toronto. They're like 400, 500 square feet.
Right,
exactly. Is that considered a tiny house?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and it's all about the lifestyle, like I said. So condo living might not be for you. If you want to be remote, if you love, the winters and the snow, and you want land, and you just want to go out, and you don't want to have a conventional job. Like, this is the thing that, who are you really? And is it going to be too lonely for you? Are you a couple that you're totally into this? How long, what are your plans long term? Yeah. This could be a stopgap for a lot of people where they just don't know. A lot of young people, they're like, you know what? I don't want to live conventionally. I'm an artist. I want to do something that's a little bit different. I want to travel, especially with COVID now. Nobody wants to live in a condo.
Yeah.
The elevators. So it's your own house. The hardest part is, do you want to move around? How do you move around? How do you afford it? Even with gas, things like that. And also, is it something that you can see yourself doing for a year? This is something you can always sell if it doesn't work out for you. It's a tangible thing that you can always sell later, just like an RV, right? Okay, so let's move on. Let's see what else I got here in our presentation. So there is hope in finding land. So look how beautiful this picture is.
I know.
So that's, so if you see in the top corner there, the heater, so that's another little picture of a heating system that it's a ductless system. So inside, that's the space that it takes, but outside there is another unit, like an air conditioning unit, let's say, size-wise. It could be on the roof, it could be below, it could be under. This is something that when you're building this kind of thing, talk to professionals that they know how to do these. I don't think even though both of us know a lot about renovating actual houses, tiny homes are very different because everything is external, right? So all the plumbing is exposed, all the electrical is exposed. How do you get power to it? Is it just batteries, like, big car batteries? This is something I can't answer. I don't know enough about it, but there is tons of YouTube University.
Yeah.
Lots of information out there.
And then also to adapt as well to the size, obviously take a look at the stairs. The stairs obviously are reduced. The same all the appliances and everything in the kitchen would be smaller. So
Right.
you also have to look at that, who you are, like, are you going to be okay with that little tiny space? So,
Yeah, you can't have a lot of clothes.
yeah.
So
Just one and two, that's it.
right, like you might not have washer and dryer. So the fridge in this picture is way in the back. So they do have a full size fridge. But let's say when you go to bed, you gotta crouch down. That second floor is not a full
Yeah.
right? So things like that you have to adjust. I think there's even another bedroom. It looks like in the back of this picture, that's a bedroom as well. So
yeah, for me, I actually might be okay because I'm short. But for my boyfriend, it's not going to work. He's going to be banging his head everywhere.
You're up. There's a bed on the floor. You're lying down. That's all. Like this is not, even though it might look luxurious, but this is really for someone who can, do real. You got the basics, right?
Yes.
The decor of it might be beautiful and very nice, but really the luxury of having space, this is not for you. That's what you're interested in. So what I want to say that there is hope. So there is something called an incorporated town or township. So if you do some research, and I don't want to say where because it changes all the time, in Ontario, and this is just Ontario, you might be able to find in different areas where you're at or where you're looking. So it's called an incorporated town or township, and it's community within, let's say, Ontario that does not receive governing by a local municipal corporation. So that's why it's unincorporated. So the rules and the bylaws to build a tiny house or to have a tiny house on a piece of land there, you got to do your research. There is such a thing. This is where you can park. You can build and park your RV on a piece of land that you own or lease, let's say. So these are things that, that's one option. As far as I know in Ontario, it's only up north you'll find an incorporated township. Do your research. Also, if you're allowed to park a house on wheels on your own property, that's something that you can check your bylaws now. And if you call it an RV or you register it as an RV, that could be an exception that you could park it in. My neighbor has an RV parked in their driveway. I don't know if anybody's actually living in it or if they're just using it to travel. None of my business. I'm the neighbor. What do I care? So that's sort of the attitude. You might.
Yeah, but you're a good neighbor. There's some neighbors that they will complain about anything.
Right. And I'm not condoning to do that. Just to be legally clear, we're not condoning for you to do that. We're saying do your research, find out what's allowed in your neighborhood if you own a piece of property already, right? And the only exception, there are some communities which allow you to have a garden house or a mobile home or an art, I don't want to, every term is a little bit different in every municipality. So you really have to do your research and who's watching you, who's seeing what's going on. So there is hope though. There's one little thing you can do some more research through Ontario. So there is a lot of information out there. Again, another really cute little RV, and they have a small fridge. So there's a lot of like RV size appliances out there too that you can buy that would work in a tiny home like this.
But I can see in this one, for example, the bed, or is that like a couch or something?
Area.
Like you really have to, when you go in, you just have to kind of lay down and.
Yeah, and again, the stairs are really steep and narrow. I mean, it's a step above a ladder. So you have to be a little physically mobile to do that as well. Or just have it on one level, like a lot of RVs, a lot of smaller movable RVs that or trailers have everything on one floor, and it's convertible furniture. So instead of having a seating area to eat, a dining area all the time, you put the table down, you put a mattress on it, and that's your sleeping area. So can you live like that long term for more than a week or two? Like that's your comfort level that nobody can answer for you except for you. So, but it's really, it's exciting. It's interesting. And this is the most interesting thing I found when I was doing my research for this is that IKEA, huge IKEA, popular IKEA has actually embraced this trend, and they've created a tiny home, and there's the link at the bottom. It's 2todocanada.ca. Now you can buy an IKEA tiny house. So again, they have that heater, so you can see the heater up there. So really, this is something that, you know, if IKEA gets behind it, you know, it's got to be popular. If they know that this is what people are looking for. Again, it's a very rudimentary structure. It's nothing fancy about it. This is all one level. You can see how they've outfitted it with IKEA furniture. So it's something that, you know, it's exciting. It's interesting. And if this sort of, you know, floats your boat, then why not take a look and see what you can discover. And we would love to hear your stories too, to hear what your research has brought you. And if you are an owner of a tiny home, we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, absolutely. We would like to find more about, you know, where to get it and, you know, how much it costs. And, you know, of course, if you are handy, that might be for you, because it'll be very exciting. I would love to make a tiny house.
Oh yeah, and I think if you go to Airbnb, you can find you can at least stay in one, just to sort of feel it out, you know, before you do any kind of full on. Yeah, I'm gonna sink, you know, tons of money into buying something. See if you like it first, and then really do your research. That's the one thing that, you know, we can't stress more. Do the research. Find out more about where you can park it. That if you don't want to park, you just want to travel, take a year off and travel, you know, maybe an RV.
Well, every time that you go somewhere, even if you're going to stay there a couple of days, you still need to find a place where it has the amenities that you need and that you're allowed to park there. You cannot just park anywhere.
Yeah, right. And, you know, we're not talking about campsites. We're not talking about, you know, provincial parks, stuff like that. That's an RV. So there is a real specific definition of what a tiny home is, and to make sure that you don't do anything that is against the bylaws of the city or the township. And really, you know, get to know your community too. I'm sure on Facebook you can find tiny home communities, you know, and just explore it. I think it's really
but I think the best would be to just go and look at one. Just kind of go look around and see what's included, because sometimes, you know, we are used to different things that we have at home and that you might not be able to have there. So
for sure. But it can, you know, if you are in the right frame of mind, the right demographic, if you really like that idea of having this kind of freedom of not having a mortgage, of not having all the pressure of saying, oh, I need to, you know, do this, I have to work, you know, 90 hours a week just to afford to live in the GTA. Hey, you know, there are options. You have options. We're in North America. The only thing that's really stopping somebody like me from even exploring that is the weather. Really, I don't be in a place like that if I think it's going to be cold in the winter, and I'm going to be in a place where it's too remote that I can't, you know, like some of these tiny homes have like a wood stove in them. It's fantastic. It's great. Again, safety first. You have to make sure that all the bylaws and your own health and safety too, that, you know, the air quality is okay. You have to do it the right way. You can't just put a wood stove in and think, okay, well, that's it. You know? Yeah. So fire, you know, fire code, safety, they're out there for a reason. It's really to protect us from ourselves, right? Like you can't just build a fire in the middle of your house. Like, you know, you think about that too. So, but anyway, I hope you learned something from our little presentation.
Yeah, this is actually fantastic. Thank you, Colette, for putting that together. But this is also an alternative. Remember, it's all about, you know, your finances. If you want to save more on a property and then use that money to travel or do other things that you like to do, that might be an alternative. And I think all of us are thinking more about how can we acquire properties that are a little cheaper, something that it's more friendly for us so we don't have to work as much.
And it's who you know. So, hey, if you have parents or if you have somebody who has a property that's big enough that you can actually make a small home and park it in the backyard, or, you know, like even my picture, actually, I don't know, you can't really see my background. But I picked this background because there's this is a very narrow, it's not my backyard, but I'm just saying it's a very narrow property. And there's like a shed. It's considered a shed because there probably isn't any water to it. But the size of the property, the size of this little shed might be like 10 by 8 or something, or 12 by 8, let's say.
Mhm.
But it's an alternative to say, so let's say my child wants to have a little autonomy. They want to move back there.
Yeah.
I can get water out there. If I can get plumbing out there and hook it up to the city, municipalities, water and hydro, it's an alternative at least.
Yeah.
And it'll bring value to my property too if I go to sell it. So I can always do something like that, or I can enjoy it in the summers myself and say, oh, I'm going to the cottage.
There you go.
So
I like that.
Yeah. So there's all these things that we have to sort of think outside the box a little bit. So
Absolutely.
I just wanted to show you guys.
Yes. So I hope, like, if you do have a tiny house, please let us know where it is, and send us a picture. And if you want more information, we're just continually looking for all of these things to answer your questions. So, but I hope that helped, and we will see you in the next episode. Please do not miss it.
Okay, I'm off to IKEA. I want to go.
All right. Yeah, let's go get one. Okay.
Bye. Okay, thanks everybody.
Bye.
Bye.